The outer world is only a reflection. It shows you what you truly believe. Anger paints your surroundings in conflict. Peace turns the same world quiet and kind. Nothing changes out there until something shifts in here. For every man lives in two worlds, the outer, which he can touch, and the inner, which he cannot escape. The outer is shaped by circumstance, the inner by choice. The great mistake most people make is trying to fix the outer world while neglecting the inner one. They labor to control events, people, and outcomes, yet their hearts remain restless, their minds cluttered. And so, the world around them never settles, because the world within them never does. A man's environment is a mirror of his mind. Change the reflection and the image will follow. The rich, the peaceful, the fulfilled. They are not simply lucky. They have learned to command their thoughts before commanding their circumstances. They have mastered the invisible before shaping the visible. Every success begins as a thought, and every failure too. Before a house collapses, its foundation cracks within. Before a life rises, its belief rises first. The greatest architects, inventors, leaders, and creators understood this truth. What you hold in your mind will soon appear in your world. Thought precedes all action, and the quality of your thought determines the quality of your result. But most people live as prisoners of their own untrained minds. They let fear dictate their choices, doubt control their steps, anger shape their tone, and worry rob their peace. They fight the shadows outside while feeding the fire within. And when life turns difficult, they blame the circumstances, never realizing that the battlefield was never out there, but in here. Your mind is the lens through which you see everything. If that lens is clouded, even the brightest day looks dim. But if that lens is clear, even a storm can look like an opportunity. The man who rules his thoughts rules his world. The man who is ruled by them is tossed about like a ship without a captain. We spend years learning to control machines, manage money, direct others, but few ever learn to manage themselves. Yet self-mastery is the first mastery, and all others flow from it. You cannot control the market, the weather, or the behavior of others, but you can control your attitude, your focus, your discipline, and your response. And that, in time, controls everything else. When a man learns to calm his inner world, his outer world begins to align. Opportunities appear where there were none. Conflicts dissolve. Strength replaces anxiety. Because life, like a mirror, reflects not your wishes, but your state of being. The greatest secret of all achievement, peace, and power lies here. Master your thoughts, and your circumstances will follow. The undisciplined mind breeds confusion, but the trained mind creates harmony. The outer world always obeys the pattern of the inner. And so, before you chase change, look inward. The results you seek are not waiting in the distance. They are waiting in your mindset. For when a man brings order to his thoughts, the world itself becomes orderly around him. How to replace fear and doubt with calm focus and direction. Fear and doubt are the twin thieves of progress. They steal from you not only your peace, but your potential. They whisper quietly at first. What if you fail? What if you're not enough? And before long, they become the loudest voices in the mind. People spend their lives obeying those whispers, mistaking them for caution, when in truth they are only confusion in disguise. The man who conquers the world is not the one who feels no fear. It is the one who masters it. For fear will always exist, but it is discipline that decides whether it controls you or serves you. Fear and doubt lose their power in the presence of clarity. A focused mind cannot be frightened for long. It sees fear as noise, something to observe but not obey. That is why the first step to calm focus is not fighting fear, but understanding it. Fear thrives in vagueness. It grows in uncertainty, in undefined goals, in untrained thought. The clearer your direction, the quieter your fear becomes. Begin then by asking, what am I afraid of? Most men never truly answer that question. They allow a fog of anxiety to linger, undefined, unexplored. But the moment you name your fear, you take away its disguise. When you expose it to the light of awareness, it begins to dissolve. Doubt, too, is a shadow that vanishes under scrutiny. Doubt lives where discipline is absent. It feeds on unfinished work, on scattered attention, on promises broken to oneself. When you live without focus, you begin to question your own ability, not because you are weak, but because you have trained yourself not to follow through. Replace doubt with direction. Replace anxiety with action. The mind cannot hold fear when it is occupied with purpose. The moment you begin moving toward a clear, chosen goal, fear shifts from master to servant. It becomes energy, fuel to sharpen your senses, to keep you alert, to remind you that something meaningful is at stake. Calm is not the absence of fear. It is the mastery of it. It is the steady voice that says, "I know what must be done, and I will do it." The calm mind does not deny emotion, it directs it. This calmness is not a gift, it is trained. You build it in small moments, by controlling your reactions when things go wrong, by holding your focus when distractions arise, by refusing to let emotion dictate decision. The mind, like the body, grows strong through resistance. Every time you choose composure over chaos, you increase your control. Soon, you begin to notice. The same problems that once shook you now leave you steady. The same doubts that once froze you now glance off like raindrops from stone. That is mastery. You cannot stop fear from knocking at the door, but you can stop answering it. You cannot silence doubt completely, but you can drown it in the sound of consistent action. For once your mind learns that it can rely on your will, fear loses its authority. And that is the quiet secret of the calm and the successful. They do not escape fear, they outgrow it. They have built inner stillness through practice, and that stillness has become strength. The world outside may roar, but inside there is order. And from that order comes direction. From that direction comes power. The link between inner discipline and outer success. Every achievement you see in the world, every empire, invention, or act of greatness began as a private victory over the self. Long before the world applauded, there was discipline. The quiet, unseen struggle between the man and his own mind. The outer world rewards what the inner world has already mastered. Inner discipline is the root of outer order. The man who cannot rule his thoughts will never rule his circumstances, for the world bends only to those who are steady enough to direct it. Discipline is not punishment, it is alignment. It is the art of bringing your actions into harmony with your purpose. People try to fix life from the outside in. They change jobs, places, and partners, thinking a new environment will change their results. But they carry the same restless mind into each new setting. And so the pattern repeats. They rearrange the furniture while ignoring the foundation. Without inner discipline, outer change is temporary. Success, real success, begins when you start managing your responses instead of trying to manage everything else. You cannot control the weather, the economy, or the opinions of others, but you can control your preparation, your patience, and your persistence. These inner qualities determine how far you go, not the outer conditions. Consider the disciplined craftsman. His environment may change, the tools, the clients, the market, but his inner standards remain constant. He approaches each task with the same focus, the same care, the same commitment to excellence. And because of that, opportunity finds him. His outer success is simply the echo of his inner consistency. The undisciplined man, however, lives in reaction. His emotions command his actions. When things go well, he moves with confidence. When they turn difficult, he collapses. He builds his plans on sand because he builds them on feelings. The disciplined man builds on stone, on principle, habit, and resolve. This is why the wealthy, the wise, and the fulfilled often appear calm even in difficulty. Their minds are anchored. They are not swayed by every wind of circumstance. The undisciplined person believes that calmness comes after success. The disciplined person knows that calmness creates success. Every outer accomplishment is simply a reflection of inner control. A disorganized mind produces a disorganized life. A focused mind produces clear results. The man who learns to direct his thoughts can direct his business, his health, his relationships, for all these are extensions of his inner state. Discipline is the great multiplier. It magnifies effort. It turns small acts into great achievements because they are performed with precision and consistency. It allows ordinary men to build extraordinary lives, not by chance, but by choice. Discipline is not harshness. It is not denial for its own sake. True discipline is self-respect in action, the decision to live according to values rather than moods. It is saying, my emotions are real, but they are not in charge. When the mind becomes disciplined, life becomes simple, decisions become clear, chaos turns into order, because a disciplined mind no longer chases everything that shines. It moves only toward what matters. Master the inner rhythm, and the outer world will keep pace with it. For success is never an accident. It is always the shadow cast by a disciplined soul. Why external chaos reflects internal confusion. Look closely at a man's surroundings, and you will see his mind. The state of his room, his work, his relationships, they are not coincidences. They are reflections. The outer disorder always begins as an inner one. When the mind is scattered, the life becomes scattered. When the mind is full of doubt, the path ahead becomes uncertain. When the mind is restless, even calm circumstances feel unbearable. But when the mind is orderly, calm, deliberate, and clear, life itself begins to take shape around it. You see, chaos is not a place, it is a pattern. It follows the one who carries it. People move from one job to another, one city to another, one relationship to another, thinking they are escaping disorder. Yet wherever they go, the same confusion meets them, because it was never in the world, it was in them. The man who cannot sit still for 5 minutes will never find peace in any environment. The one who cannot focus his thoughts for a single hour will find distraction everywhere he goes. Outer chaos is the echo of inner noise. This is why two people can stand in the same situation and see two entirely different worlds. One man looks at challenge and sees opportunity. Another looks at opportunity and sees risk. The difference is not the world they live in. It is the state of the world within them. An untrained mind amplifies every problem. It adds fear to difficulty, anger to inconvenience, impatience to delay. Soon, even the smallest setback feels unbearable. Life seems cruel, unfair, overwhelming. But the calm mind, the disciplined mind, remains steady. It sees the same event but responds differently. It does not add emotion to circumstance. It acts instead of reacts. Chaos outside is often an invitation to correct something inside. The world mirrors our habits of thought. When life feels disordered, it is often because our priorities are unclear, our emotions unguarded, our focus divided. The outer mess is only the visible symptom of an inner imbalance. This is why true order cannot be achieved by force. You may clean your desk, organize your schedule, silence the noise. But if the heart is anxious and the mind undirected, disorder will return. Order built from the outside collapses quickly. Order built from within endures. To restore peace in the outer world, begin by restoring focus in the inner one. Start small. Sit in silence each morning. Breathe, think. Ask yourself, what truly matters today? And then let that clarity guide your actions. You will find that as the mind settles, so does life. The great secret is that peace is not found. It is practiced. It is not given by the world. It is given by discipline. When a man learns to quiet his mind, the storms of life lose their fury. The winds may still blow, but they no longer uproot him. His calm becomes a command. His order becomes his power. The undisciplined man blames the noise of the world. The disciplined man tames the noise within. The difference is mastery. And so, when you see confusion around you, do not rush to fix everything you see. Look within. For once the inner world is clear, the outer world will follow. It always does. Simple mental habits that strengthen emotional control and peace. Mastery of the inner world does not come from grand gestures. It is built quietly, through simple daily habits that bring order to thought and calm to emotion. Just as the body is shaped by what we feed it, the mind is shaped by what we think, repeat, and dwell upon. The disciplined man understands this, and he trains his mind as carefully as a craftsman sharpens his tools. The first habit is reflection before reaction. Most people respond instantly to life with irritation, worry, or haste, and only later wonder why their days feel chaotic. The wise, however, pause. Between the event and the reaction, they insert thought. That pause is power. In that brief space, they decide whether to act from fear or from reason, from impulse or from principle. The pause does not take time, it creates it. The second habit is intentional thinking. The undisciplined mind drifts like a leaf in the wind, carried by worry, memory, or desire. The disciplined mind directs itself. It chooses its thoughts the way a builder chooses his materials. Each morning, set the tone for your mind. Ask, what do I want to hold in my awareness today? If you do not choose your thoughts, the world will choose them for you. The third habit is mental diet. Just as the body weakens on junk food, the mind weakens on negativity. Complaints, gossip, and fear are poisons disguised as entertainment. Feed your mind with ideas of courage, growth, and gratitude. Read something that uplifts. Listen to something that challenges. Think thoughts that strengthen. Over time, your inner tone becomes your outer reality. The fourth habit is gratitude in difficulty. Emotional control is not built in comfort. It is built in adversity. The man who can remain thankful in hardship has learned the highest form of discipline. Gratitude turns suffering into strength. It reminds the mind to look not at what has been taken, but at what remains. And from that awareness, peace is born. The fifth habit is self-observation. Throughout the day, notice your thoughts as you would clouds passing through the sky. See them without judgment. This simple act of awareness begins to separate you from them. You realize you are not your anger, nor your fear, nor your doubt. You are the one who observes them. This distance creates control. You cannot command what you are fused with, but you can guide what you are aware of. The sixth and most powerful habit is daily stillness. A few moments each day, in silence, in solitude, without distraction, will do more for your mind than hours of effort. Sit quietly, breathe deeply, let your thoughts slow until you can hear your own awareness beneath the noise. In that stillness lies strength. The man who can sit quietly with himself has nothing to fear from the world. Together, these habits form the foundation of inner mastery. Reflection, intentional thought, mental discipline, gratitude, awareness, and stillness. None require wealth, luck, or genius. They require only willingness, and in exchange, they give back what the world cannot: calm, clarity, and unshakable peace. When the inner world is governed by these principles, the outer world begins to mirror it. Relationships improve, decisions sharpen, opportunities align. Not because life has changed, but because you have. Peace is not a place to reach. It is a pattern to practice, and with practice, it becomes the quiet strength through which the outer world obeys the inner command. So the outer world is a mirror. It reflects. It does not decide. It shows not what you wish for, but what you are. And when you master yourself, the reflection changes without resistance. The storms of life will never cease entirely, but the man who governs his inner world walks through them untouched. He no longer prays for calm seas. he becomes the calm upon them. Understand this: peace is not the reward of control, it is the proof of it. When your thoughts obey you, when your emotions serve your purpose instead of sabotaging it, you have found the greatest victory a man can win: mastery of self. Nothing in the world can remain against the power of a composed mind. Fortune, opportunity, and success all bend toward it. For the world does not follow chaos, it follows order. And the highest order begins within. So, when life feels uncertain, do not rush to fix the reflection. Adjust the mirror, align the inner with the higher, and the outer will quietly take its place. Remember this: the man who commands his thoughts commands his destiny. The man who rules his inner world rules the world entire.